These are two of the more popular nootropic supplements, mainly because they're so easily accessible. You can just pick them up off the shelf in your local grocery store or in your local pharmacy. Now, you may have seen my previous reviews, my individual ones on Prevagen and on Neuriva, but I want to compare them head to head for you so you can see if there is one or the other that is worth your money to help improve brain function. Now, I will say these two supplements, two entirely different companies, have followed the exact same playbook and almost have identical issues. So I'm going to cover that. I'm going to go through the comparison of ingredients. I'm going to go through the comparison of price, and I'm going to let you know if either of these are actually worth it or if one is better than the other. So let's start with Prevagen. Now, Prevagen hit the marketing gold mine by using their main ingredient called apoaequorin, which I hope I said correctly. Then they have vitamin D in as well, but I'm not worried about the vitamin D. I just care about the active ingredient apoaequorin. Now, the reason it's marketing gold mine is because it is a certain protein from a certain species of jellyfish. Very nice for advertising. The idea is that this protein binds to calcium ions, which helps retain them to attenuate cognitive decline as you age so you can maintain brain function. Now, there's only been one human trial with this ingredient, and it has a couple of potential issues. Firstly, it was only recently peer-reviewed and published in a low-impact journal. I've just got some of my notes here for you. And secondly, it's an in-house study conducted by Quincy Bioscience, which is the parent company of Prevagen. Now, if we come to Neuriva as we come through this, it's exactly the same playbook. We have two main ingredients, coffee fruit extract, and the second one, which I can never pronounce, but it's in many different nootropic formulas, phosphatidylserine, which is what we're going to call it today. And they have coffee fruit extract, which has been shown to potentially increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF for short, which is essential for brain health. Now, this one ingredient has had studies led and analyzed by the company that creates it. So Futureceuticals Incorporated, TRI, are the ones that ran these studies, which could potentially skew a lot of the data. Typically, it goes out to a third party. These ones won't. So we need to take coffee fruit extract in Neuriva with a grain of salt. We also need to take apoaequorin and Prevagen with a grain of salt, because both of these has studies funded by the company that's either supplying the ingredient or that is using the ingredient. Again, funding is not the issue. It's the fact that they led, analyzed, and did all the data and the study design themselves. For example, within the study with apoaequorin and Prevagen, they only included subjects with self-reported cognitive impairment, and any subjects who were diagnosed with mental impairment were excluded. Considering that apoaequorin is thought to reduce the development of Alzheimer's disease, it kind of doesn't make sense to exclude the ones with actual mental impairment. Having subjects with self-reported symptoms, which also involved in Neuriva study, which I'll touch on in a second, presents a huge study bias as they're far more susceptible to the placebo effect. Plus, they hadn't shown any cognitive decline. That's why they're in the study. Now, I understand if you're trying to look at the effects in healthy individuals, but for this particular ingredient, that doesn't quite make sense. Now, the second ingredient in Neuriva, which is, I'm not even going to say it again because it's such a pain in the ass to say, but 100 to 300 milligrams daily positively affects memory in older adults with cognitive decline and may benefit people with neurodegenerative disease. So the 100 milligrams in here may actually be pretty beneficial. Now, the parent company Reckitt, they also make other products like Durex, Dettol, etc. They're a relatively big company. They funded, analyzed, and led research on their formulation, showing 42 days of Neuriva supplementation, quote, significantly improved measures of memory, accuracy, focus, and concentration and learning compared to placebo in healthy adults with self-reported memory problems. This is our self-reporting issue again. We also have a potential issue in the inactive ingredients or the other ingredients using titanium dioxide. The banned food additive in Europe doesn't mean that it's officially a problem, but they state that while they didn't find an immediate health concern, they concluded it could no longer be considered safe in food. So that's just something to be aware of within this. So that kind of covers the ingredients and the potential biasing within their studies. Now, while they all both had kind of the same playbook with their formulations and how they conduct their research, funnily enough, they also have the same playbook in receiving lawsuits. Neuriva have already settled theirs. Essentially, they were accused of falsely advertising Neuriva products as being clinically and scientifically proven to enhance brain performance, which is in violation of consumer protection laws and other laws. So that study I just referenced earlier, where they ran their own study on their formula, essentially they're saying that doesn't seem to be the case. This is all three variations of Neuriva. So the parent company Reckitt, they settled on this and they agreed to change its labeling and marketing practices, including removing clinically proven, quote unquote, from the labels and the social media, websites, and other advertising. And they've settled their lawsuit. They've taken off clinically proven from their supplements because they cannot say it is clinically proven. Now, Prevagen's lawsuit, I believe, is still ongoing, but essentially, a court decided that the US FTC and the state of New York can take legal action against the supplement company. Prevagen advertised that their product could improve memory, but the FTC and New York argued that Prevagen's claims were misleading. So again, based on the research of their study, they're saying that is a misleading claim. They said that the product wasn't proven to work any better than a placebo. So while a lower court rejected this case, a higher court disagreed with this and said the FTC could continue challenging Prevagen's claims. So I think they're still ongoing with that. So it's just something to be aware of with both of these supplements. They both had or currently have lawsuits against them based on the claims they're making about their formulation. Now let's just say we ignore all of that and we just look at the price, but please don't ignore all of that. For Prevagen, we're looking at anywhere from $1.33 to about $3 per serving. So you're looking at kind of in the middle of the range of most nootropic supplements when we're looking at by per serving. And we're talking about that range because they have 5 different products. And essentially they're all the same, just with a little more of that main ingredient in them. On the other hand, Neuriva is around 82 cents to $1.26 per serving. So you're on the lower end of the nootropic pricing scale per serving. So Prevagen is slightly more expensive, Neuriva slightly cheaper. Now to answer your question about these two, is one better than the other? In my opinion, and based on the evidence that I've been through, no, I would not choose either of these nootropic supplements. In fact, I would advise to actually avoid these two just based on the research, the lawsuits, and the ingredients in these. There are far better formulations for the price. They have many other beneficial brain-boosting ingredients. And if you want to know which one we recommend at Athletic Insight, check out this video next, because we can go through our top nootropics for memory and focus. And the number one nootropic there has a great formulation backed by clinical trials, and the company has a great reputation for improving cognitive function.